Good morning. Quote, a mantra is nothing more than a collection of words strung together to create a positive effect. Uh, Tamara and I have been talking about mantras a lot lately with our book club and just being part of our New Year tradition starting in January. We like to come up with words and with affirmations, mantras that we repeat to ourselves throughout the year that make us feel good, that lift us up. And that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, we're super excited. We always have like these discussions on what is our topic going to be. And so we kind of just are intuitively led, and whatever we're feeling, we go into that. And it's so funny because there's so many times where we both are just feeling the same things, which is amazing. And I love that connection that we have. Yeah, so mantras, it was really fun. We had our book club call last night, and just hearing everybody's is just so uplifting and amazing. Just having like that much positivity and knowing that they're all working towards whatever goals they have, the things that align with their plans in the future and this year. And so really, we kind of want to talk to you about creating your own mantra or multiple ones, if that's what you want to do. And really just understanding like how to do that. So where do you start, I guess? And how do you create a mantra? So maybe we can both kind of like share a little bit of how we came up with ours and how we can help everybody else create theirs that's listening.
Yeah, to start, I think that you need to, like we talked about, our whys and our purposes, and that last week. And was it last week or the week before?
Yeah, it was last week. Yeah.
Last week. Yeah. But yeah, I think that we go into year, and you know, your year could start like in July. Like there's this thing about January that we have, and honestly, don't wait. Don't wait for January for it. You know, I'm just going to wait 6 more months so that I can. No, don't do that. Just start now. But we usually like to go into every year, and my mantras and my affirmations change regularly. When I hit a certain level with the mantra that maybe I started with and I feel really good about it, I'm like, okay, that one's ingrained, so I'm gonna leave that one for right now. And then I'm going to jump into something else. So my mantra for this year is one is I am a warrior. That's about fitness and my nutrition and taking care of my body. I came to it kind of funny. I had an argument with myself in the shower that I shared with everyone that, you know, it was one of those situations where I've been thinking a lot about food, and I am doing this kind of clear your palate, so to speak, is what I'm taking away from it, doing with this fitness guy that I've hired. And but what keeps popping up for me is I can't have what I want. And so I went from that to, okay, well, that's nice, but you got yourself into this. So, you know, and I was telling the girls last night, it's not like your cupboards just automatically like fling themselves open and like this chocolate bar just flies out of the cupboard, unwraps itself, and then like rams itself into your mouth. And I had like these images of me gagging, like it was terrible. So, but overshare, but really funny. So anyways, you get yourself into that. You sit there and you ate that entire bag of chips. You know, I think that like last year was a tough year. We were just talking about that emotionally. There's a lot of heavy weight on the world, probably eating my feelings, gained weight. And so after I got through all this stuff my mind was like, no, I can't have this. And then it's like, well, you did this to yourself. Then it was like, just trust the process, trust that your body knows, trust that your intuition is going to guide you to the food that makes you feel good and all this stuff. And then I got to the place of the breakthrough, which is I am a warrior and I can eat what I want that's going to fill me up and make me feel good. The difference is that I realize and I understand and I know, we were just talking about this morning about nutrition, is like, oh well, if you deny yourself like the chips and the cookies, and then aren't you going to want that even more? The reality is that you don't. Like, I've been doing my guided nutrition now for 2 weeks. I've been filling my body with clean eating, and it feels really good, and I feel good, and I'm not getting the crashes in the afternoon and that kind of stuff. I might need to up what I'm eating and intake a bit more, but when you eat really good food, your body does not crave the crappy
Mhm.
food that it was before. Believe it or not, it sounds crazy, because when you're in it and you're like, yeah, but I'm gonna, well, you might initially, but you get through that because you're so full from the good stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I got to the mantra, I am a warrior, and that can be expended on all the areas of my life. But in this case, it was particularly for the nutrition and doing workouts that I feel might be challenging for me. I still know I can do hard things. So that's just one of my mantras. I have tons, and I constantly repeat them to myself, or I write them on my board, my whiteboard, or I put them on my mirror, wherever I need to see them. That's where I put them. And I know Tamara does the same thing. So, but if
Mhm.
you want to go and lead
Definitely.
with yours, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to like creating your mantra, really think of like where you're going, whether it's in this year, it's a goal that you want to achieve in 3 months, even if like 3 months from now that mantra has served you and you want to step it up to something else. Like you never have to stick to the same thing. But in order to create it, we want it to align with where you're going and with that why that we talked about last week.
Yeah.
So I have a couple as well, but one of them, which I think is a little bit scary because not very many people um, change their mindset easily around money and the stories that they tell themselves. And so that has been something really big where like I've always believed that money is a struggle. Money doesn't come to me easily, like all of these BS lies that I'm telling myself. And I decided that's not going to be what I'm telling myself anymore. And I truly believe in manifesting. I truly believe in trusting God and the universe, in when we put it out there that it comes back to us. So if I'm sitting here saying money is a struggle, money doesn't come easily, I never make money, all of these things, guess what? That's where I'm at. So I have created this mantra around money that says money continuously and freely flows into my life. And
Mm-hmm.
that feels super good. And it aligns with my future goals of financial freedom. It aligns with where I want to go with this business that I'm building and with the future visions that we have with this podcast. And it feels really good. So just trust, like sit quietly, listen to your heart, and something is going to come up and you're going to feel it and you're going to know, like, this is my mantra, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, just repeat it to yourself during the day. When I get caught up in those thoughts of like going back to that old pattern of thinking those negative things about money, I'm aware and I catch myself. And guess what I do? I repeat my mantra and I replace that negative thought that I normally would always go to with a positive thought. And it just becomes habit to say these things continuously. Put them on sticky notes around your house, write them on a mirror that you're always looking in. If you're falling asleep at night and you're thinking about these mantras and you're waking up and you're reading them on your mirror and you're seeing them, you don't have room for those negative BS stories to come into your head because you're seeing this around you all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have. We're reading Badass Habits by Jen Sincero right now for book club, and uh, she just she's one of my heroes. But she talks about, and this is really important, and I just felt inclined to touch on this really quickly. Is that whether you like it or not, you have habits and you have mantras right now that you are feeding
Mm-hmm.
already. When you start looking at things like Tamara, and you were kind of touching on that, habits of scarcity and lack when it comes to finances. Um, so when you start looking at it, you're already feeding things. So what is it going to hurt to sit down, evaluate some of these old limiting beliefs, these old habits, and to redefine them to serve you in a way that's going to, like you said, and she says in the book too, she says it's not what you do, it's who you want to be. So, and I think I might have flipped that around, but regardless, it's the same idea. It's you're looking at the future you and saying, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing to get there. So I think when you start looking at it like that and get really honest with yourself, I mean, it's not going to hurt to get really honest with yourself and admit some of the gritty, ugly details sometimes that we trap ourselves in with old habits that are not pleasant, that are not serving you, that, you know, that created weight gain, that created lack in the financial department, that created loss of relationship that you're really missing, or friendship, you know, whatever it is. Sometimes it's scary to get into our old habits and those gritty spots in our life, but ultimately that's what you need to do to grow.
Yeah, definitely. And I just had this thought in my head of like, it's so crazy because you don't really think those negative things that you're saying are affirmations or mantras, because those are supposed to be positive. But guess what? If that's what you're feeding yourself, and that's the story that you're telling yourself, that's what you're creating. So when you're sitting here saying like, I don't want to struggle, I don't want this to happen, I don't want to be stuck anymore, you're just recreating that. So we actually had, and this just blows my mind every time, and I bring it up all the time, and the girls know this, but we went to a retreat in January. And one of the amazing women that we've had the pleasure of building a relationship and becoming friends with, Marianne, did this little activity with us around the idea of like, I don't want this. I don't want this. So I'm not going to tell you guys what we did, but I'm going to tell you to do it. And I want you to go and do it. I want you to open your phone and I want you to type into Google, don't show me pictures of kittens. And you will see what happens, even when you lead with, I don't want this to happen. I don't want to be stuck in this place anymore. So little activity for you to do. Devin's just laughing because she knows what's going to happen.
No, literally, Tamara, this is how synced up our brains were. I was like, we need to mention that. And then literally you just jumped right into it. I was like, okay, check that off the list.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's incredible. And the point was that, and we won't, you know, you guys go do it and like respond on our podcast and give us some ideas of like what you've seen and how you feel about it. Her idea or her thought behind that was that our brain is like a computer, and that's how our brain operates. So very clear, when you are creating a mantra, when you are creating an affirmation, when you say something, you say, I am, you don't say, I can, I will, because you leave room for maybe I will, maybe I won't. So it's very specific, and you're speaking it as if it's already happened. The can't, the won't, and then as I shared with you, it's like, I can't have what I want. That's a limiting belief that doesn't serve me. And I am not taking that on as something that I'm willing to accept in my life anymore. And so that's how I got to the I am a warrior. Very different, very opposite from the I can't have what I want, but it's where I needed to get to. So be clear, define, and look at your belief, write it down, look at it and say, does this feel good? Is it exactly what I want it to say? Try really, really, really hard to not include can't, won't, shouldn't, couldn't. I will try. I hope that no, please, like get very specific and Google it.
Yeah. And here's like an example of that negative and switching it to an I am affirmation. So obviously, like most people don't want to struggle financially, but you don't want your affirmation to be, I don't want to struggle financially. You want your affirmation to be, I'm a financial ninja.
Yeah.
Like you want it to be, and you want to feel it. Make sure it's something that like hits you and you feel it and it makes you smile and it makes you feel really happy. That is your mantra.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Do you want to lead out with the
Yeah,
affirmation or
absolutely.
mantra?
I actually had Deb and I always sit and like have a little chat before we start on coming out with our quote to lead in and our affirmation to end. And I think I confused Google because I typed in, and sometimes like I'll just have an affirmation that just comes to me, and sometimes I'm stuck. And so I'm like, okay, let's just ask Google. And I typed in affirmations about mantras. And I feel like Google didn't really know, like, was I looking for affirmations? Was I looking, what are we doing here? So today's affirmation is, that which I put my attention upon grows.
Yes. Have a great day, everybody.